Hello and welcome to Real Estate 360. We have another fantastic show. This is Steve Conley, hashtag unemployable, and
this is Jason O. Miles, hashtag the real estate trainer.
fantastic.
Here we are, man. Here we are. And listen, I got to say it before we get going. You guys make sure that you go to iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, and subscribe to our podcast. You're gonna want to see it. Go to YouTube. It's the Real Estate 360 channel. Subscribe, watch, comment. We really do appreciate your comments. I cannot stress enough how the importance of engaging with us. Let us know what you like. Let us know what you don't like. With the content that we deliver, let us know what you want to hear. If there's something specific, that's the only way that I know that people can reach out to us and let us know. You have to engage with us.
That would be fantastic if they did that.
I'd love it if they do that.
You know what? We have in front of us something that we've never really had before, which is an outline for today's show.
That's right.
One of the producers suggested, you guys might want to have an outline so you kind of stay on topic. But at the same time, maybe being off topic every now and then adds a little different flavor.
There's nothing wrong with a little banter.
Nothing wrong with that, until we get into the politics side of it. Then,
It's not banter anymore.
No. But today we are speaking on success in your first 30 days. But listen, before we do that, I'm going to go off topic right now. I can't help it. How did you become hashtag the real estate trainer?
It's a very long story, but in short, I came into this industry not knowing much, spent a lot of time learning things. That's, of course, when we met.
Right.
And I had a partner back then. You'll remember that person, the little lady.
Oh, yes, I remember.
And things financially didn't go so well with that person. And that person took a lot of money.
Okay.
Took a lot of money.
Your money.
And others.
Oh, okay.
And others, yeah, not just me. But it went from learning how to do real estate with credit and a little bit of money to learning how to do real estate with no credit, with bad credit and no money. And I made a promise to myself at that point when I was learning those techniques and practicing those techniques and putting them to work, that when I did get myself together, that I would share the processes with people. I didn't have a written curriculum or anything like that. I simply just shared it. But that group turned into about 15 people. And one of those people in that group had a mentor who came in town. And that mentor, I had convinced them to let me go out and look at properties that I had found for them, of course.
Right.
And he invited me to come and talk to a group, and the rest is history. And then it just kind of developed from there. The real estate trainer is a real thing. It's not a one-off. People say they do it. I do it. You do it. We do this, and we do it on a grand scale. And it's got everything to do with making sure that people can succeed if they want to. That's it. It's not about anything else.
Part of that motivation is the first 2 years you got involved, right?
2.5.
2.5. All right, let's get specific.
It was very painful, those first 2.5 years, because I couldn't make any money. I read every book.
Yeah.
I tried to implement the processes that were in there. I did not understand the fact that, the people that wrote this book, one guy lives in California and he was using certain, practices and legalities for that state. Another guy lived in Florida. Two guys lived in Florida, and they were practicing what worked in that state. I'm in Georgia.
It's different.
It's totally different. And I did not know that. You're reading these things like they're the gospel. And you're implementing the processes just as it says, but it still wasn't working.
Yeah, I get it. So the topic today is success in your first 30 days.
Absolutely.
You didn't quite make that.
I definitely didn't make 30 days, no.
But, you and I hear people say, listen, I'm just getting into this. I need to make this first real estate transaction work.
Right.
I need to make this first one work, because if I don't, I'm dead.
That's right.
So what are the odds of that happening?
If someone listened to what they were being taught, and they just implemented, because again, people have a tendency to use perfection as their form of procrastination, as I like to say, right?
Right.
They want to know that it's perfect, that it's, exactly the way it's supposed to be. It's written here. And now I understand every line item. Now I'm going to do it.
Right.
Well, they think they're not going to make any mistakes, which is why they wait until their formations are perfect. And it's never going to be perfect. You have to act.
Right.
I wish we could be perfect. I wish we were batting 1,000. But we can't. You simply have to act. And if you want to have success in your first 30 days, and success can be defined in any number of ways, right? It's organization. How are you going to market? Who are you going to market to? How do you build your buyers list, sellers list?
Well, the guys I talk to, their definition of success is they want to make money on the first one.
Absolutely.
But, rookies make mistakes.
Rookies do.
And they don't know what they're doing.
That's right.
And we know what we know, right?
Yeah.
And to some extent, we know what we don't know. But we don't know the things that we don't know about.
We don't know.
And that is like 99.99% of the universe as it
That's
exists.
Right. That's right.
So we don't know squat.
No.
Really what it
That's right.
Up. So it's got to be, a little scary, especially to those perfectionists you're talking about who need to have everything lined up.
Right.
And trying to figure out everything. And to your point, you got to take the action.
Yeah.
At the bottom of this outline, in segment 4, it says plan, do, review. It's right here on page 1.
Oh, yeah.
It's segment 4. But it says plan, do, review. So, the perfectionists are going to plan some more, and maybe they may do it or maybe they may never do it.
Yeah.
And the thing about this, the reason I wanted to point this out was it's plan and do it and review it because no matter what happens, we don't know what's going to happen, really.
And the reality of that is we're always reviewing the things that we've done. We're revamping our processes.
Yeah.
Our new processes, in most cases, are things that we used to do that didn't work in another, aspect of the economic cycle that we're in, right?
Right.
But after a while, you just know, okay, it's time to do it this way. It's time to offer it, but you have to do it first. You have to do it first.
And the plan to review thing, you can do it in any order you want.
That's right.
You can do it, and then you can review it, and then plan again. But once you get started, you're always planning to do it because you say, "Wow, what happened with that? That went great, or this didn't go so good."
Mm-hmm.
So that's the review, and then you redo it. So you start to do it again, and then you plan it and go. Just do that process.
That's right.
But the topics for segment 1 here are, figure out where you want to go. What are you doing? What kind of an investor are you?
Mm-hmm.
Are you going to start out with this as a wholesaler where you're going to purchase not even purchase, just write a contract on it, do the Rush Limbaugh thing. Yeah. Create the paper. Create this piece of paper that has value in it. So you really need to know what you're doing when you're doing that. So the paper actually has some value. And then you sell the paper. You assign the contract. And then you collect that assignment fee. So
that's right.
So that's one. And number 2 is you
buy and hold.
Well, the second one I have on here is buy and then just resell it. Don't fix it. Don't rent it. Don't do anything. Yeah. So that gives you're buying time. And then buy and hold. Buy and hold is a rental. What else is on there?
Fix and flip. We got fix and flip, investing as a lender. But even with those, I like that one because there are a lot of people that come into, I've witnessed it, and I know you've witnessed it. I've witnessed people with substantial means.
Yes.
Right?
Yeah.
A lot of money come into a room because they've been watching, one of those television
Brothers,
shows, right?
Whatever.
And they say, I want to flip a house. And, you're looking at a guy who's got, $10 million in the bank and he wants to flip a house and make, 40 grand, 50 grand. It's a very big waste of time and energy. If you've got those kind of resources, you need to look at doing different things. That's becoming a lender, investing passively, but having all the security in the world that you could possibly legally get, being that lender, and have passive income coming in. Mm-hmm. And the same with multifamily. It's the same in there for that same group of people. So often I witness, and I know you do, we witness people whether they have experience or not, but they've got some means, especially those of us that have had experience.
Yeah.
We will stay in the single family lane to one extent or another, whether we're wholesaling, because we wind up doing it all. We wind up wholesaling, fix and flip. You wind up buying and holding sometimes out of necessity.
Yeah.
You know?
Okay, that's part of the review process.
Right, exactly. So you wind up doing everything, but you're stuck in that single family lane.
Yeah.
And you're not looking at anything else.
Right.
And that can really stifle people.
And it's kind of important, at least from my perspective, because I was in this particular perception. You hear things about, from these speakers and the trainers and the people who are trying to sell you this program or whatever, and they say, buy single families, rent them, and just hold them and wait.
That's right.
I did that, and that may or may not be the right thing for you to do. It may not fit your personality. It may not fit your financial goals.
Well, it definitely wouldn't, but you don't know that until you start doing it.
Right.
You don't know, especially in the fast world that we live in today, and I'm specifically talking about tax advantages, right? There's different tax advantages for owning single family and commercial, totally different tax advantages. And once you learn them, the way you think will change.
Right.
Because I don't care if you've got 100 houses, free and clear. Yeah, you got all that money coming in, but how you depreciate them, just the taxes, the write-offs that you can create for yourself over an extended amount of time, those won't qualify for.
Exactly.
So you're going to get write-offs, but it's not going to be as extensive as it would on the commercial side.
Right.
And you learn that, and you're like, yo, I gotta get that. How do I? Because you get too much cash coming in, you're going to pay a huge chunk in taxes. You got to watch it.
So we're going to go into the next segment with what is the next step. So you pick out where you want to end up with
know your value.
And know your values. And we'll be back in a few moments.
We'll buy your house. Click 833willbuy.com. That's 833WELLBUY.com.
Or call 833-WILL-BUY.
Se habla español. Llámanos. Call us today.
Here we go. We are back. Thank you for staying with us. This is Jason Miles, and I am here with Mr.
Steve Connolly.
The hashtag unemployable one. And
that's
Steve,
what they say.
That's right. So, Steve.
Yes.
Now, we know what we're going to be talking about today. We've gone through the overview, and really now it's time to kind of get into the meat and potatoes of what we do. So the first thing that people have to do is, I know that they have to make offers, but really the first thing they got to do is find these deals.
Exactly.
Right?
Yeah.
So how do they do that?
Oh, you're looking at my list that says make offers, but I left out how do they find the properties. Good point. So, there's about 1 billion ways to find real estate. I mean, the other day we were on the phone and I said, I'm going to go driving for dollars,
Yep.
And so I was out just riding around in West Cobb County, just trying to find something. And I said, what am I doing? I'm wasting my time and gas, because I was in this neighborhood. I was kind of riding around the neighborhood. And I was talking on the phone. I didn't really have. I was kind of glancing out the window. There was nothing around. I was in the wrong neighborhood. That's all. It was too nice, honestly, and there was nothing there that could possibly be, a buy and fix and flip or anything like that. So yeah. Do we want to talk about all of those ways?
I mean, there's just so many. I don't think we can.
No.
But I do want to say that. For people starting out, these are the things they hear. They hear driving for dollars. They hear bandit signs. All those relatively cost-effective things, right? And I say relative because you can drive around for a week and spend $100 in gas. You can go out and buy, 50 bandit signs, or, like I did. I bought, I think, 65 online. It was $260 with the stakes and everything. And that's why I say relative, right?
Sure.
But for people that are just starting out, one of the best techniques that I give them, if they truly don't have the means, the cash, to spend a little money on a direct marketing campaign or whatever, I recommend that they look around, as they're driving to work or whatever, whatever they're doing, and they're going to see bandit signs. We buy houses, we buy houses fast. Call those people, because if they're buying the houses, they're selling the houses, right? And you don't know who's going to be on the other end of that. Now, once you've called them, it's like, okay, what do you say? Now, what you can do with all kind of wholesalers, you can say, listen, I'm a local wholesaler that has a list of buyers. Do you mind if I market your properties? Now, you didn't find a property, and you may not even have any buyers, but you can go to that website or have that person, email you over the particulars on that house or on their houses, and you can put them on Craigslist. You can put them on Facebook, and you can begin to build your buyers list with other people's properties. And if one of those people buys that property, granted, you're not going to make 10 grand, but you might make 3, you might make 5, you may only make 1,500, but you started with 0.
Exactly. And that's exactly the way to start.
Yeah.
You don't have to really know too much. You can use their numbers.
Mm-hmm. And build your knowledge base from there. How did you get this number? How did you find this house? How did you determine the value here? Yeah. And where do I make money?
Exactly.
Do I add money to it? Is my profit inside that number you have? You can begin to ask these questions, or you can ask your mentor. Yeah. Knock, knock, knock on wood.
Right.
But that's just how that goes.
Now, another way that you can do that with almost nothing is get with a realtor or get online and start looking at houses and do searches and find, do a search for the cheapest house with these parameters, maybe 1,500 square feet in a certain area, and just look for the cheapest one.
And you do that you can do it simply by going to Zillow.
Sure.
And there's a filter there, and you can say, I'm looking for houses for sale or houses that sold from $0 to $100,000
right.
in this zip code, or because they have that thing there where you can circle the area that you want to look in. You can just, if you have that kind of
area, you can pick the zip code, you can pick the town, you can pick whatever you want.
That's exactly right. And you can look and you can see, exactly what's for sale. And you just kind of play with that tool, that price fixing tool. Let me be clear.
Wait a minute. Price fixing?
Well, the
filtering
system that is on Zillow.
Okay,
right. So you kind of just play with the parameters of that to determine, like you said, square footage, price points, and then we'll look at stuff all the time, and there's a 700 square foot house there. Nobody's going to buy that thing and renovate. It costs more to renovate it than it would be worth, generally speaking.
That's probably true, but there are people out there that would look for a house like that because you can buy it cheap.
Mm-hmm.
It's probably a 2-1.
Yep.
And I know of a few people who buy those because they're so cheap.
Mm-hmm.
They can rent them. It's going to rent it to a single older couple or older individual, and they get good rent out of that relative to the size and what they paid for it.
Right.
There's always a way.
There's always a way.
The reason I mention that is just there's something else. There's something other things. I cannot try to predetermine what somebody's going to buy.
Yeah.
I'm just going to go try to find the best deal I can, wrap it up, tie it up, put it on the market, and see what happens.
That's exactly right, and that's how it has to be all the time. I mean, there's so many people that are running around out here. The key word out there today is, or phrase I should say, is know your avatar. Know your avatar. Meaning, who is your buyer? Who is your client? Who are you catering to? There's no way to define that. I mean, the definition is so broad. Okay, who's your avatar? Who are your buyers? Okay, well, our buyer is between the ages of 27 and 63. Half of them are male, half of them are female, half of them are black, half of them are white, or whatever the case. There's just no possible way to, you can take a segment of it and you can say, well, 47% of the people that buy from us fit this demographic, and then you can try to target them. And I know that's the way mass marketing works, but it really doesn't work so well in a smaller market. I mean, for what we do anyway. So you just have to, cast this broad net over everything. And that's what you want, because as you said, you never know who it's going to be or what they want. You can't determine that.
No, you can't. But a lot of people think they want to be in the fix and flip arena. Now,
Yes.
we've got one of our mentor students said, we found a few properties. There was at least one of them that's still in the process of being closed out on just a wholesale deal. So she's going to make really good money on that.
Mm-hmm.
And then, but she said, I want to do a fix and flip. And, I said, are you sure? Are you out of your mind? And, but she said, no, I want to do it. So she found one where an investor who wanted to do a fix and flip got in trouble, ran out of money, got a bad contractor, all the things that can go wrong, went wrong. So she said, hey, how do I do this? So we got with her and did we purchased that property. I'm not going to get into the details how we did it. And we said, listen, you're going to need X amount of dollars, to take to catch things up, to get the building permits, get the contractor started, all this. So we got started on that, right? And first thing is go get a building permit, because the other lady who jumped into it, stumped her toe, didn't do all that. The contractor said he was going to take care of it. He didn't, Anyway, that's another story. So we said, all right, get down to the city and get your permits, and you got to get the drawings. So that costs money. The permits cost money. The contractor costs money. All that is money, going out. And so you need a certain amount of money to, in the bank to make this stuff happen.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was talking to her a couple of days ago, and she said, I don't think I've got enough. I'm already running short. She had arranged for a family member to give her a loan on the property for an interest rate. And I said, well, I understand, because you've got, now you got to make the payments, you got to do this. I said, you can go back to your sister and borrow some more money. She said, I didn't even think about that,
Yeah.
because sometimes it's helpful to have another person looking in. The point is, you got to be prepared, or at least, know that what you're getting into is probably not the way it looks on DIY TV network.
That's for sure. That's for sure. You're not going to go stand in front of the house for the auction, right?
No.
You're not going to. I mean, listen, they have to make it exciting. What are those 30-minute shows? Some of them are an hour long.
Yeah.
But, a 30-minute show is really 22 minutes. I think a 60-minute show is double that. Yeah. So, there's only so much drama that can fit into that time, and they have to maximize the drama factor, right?
Well, there's plenty of drama in real estate. I mean,
that there is.
You can just look at our stuff, and see
is.
plenty of drama there. But, let's not talk about that.
It's just a matter of really knowing what it is. I mean, you can't. It's good that people get excited about an industry.
Yeah.
It's great, but it's a business, and that's what people are really kind of missing out on. I mean, this is a business. Yes, it's a lifestyle. We talk about that. We preach that. That's our mantra, if you will. But if you don't understand that this is a business, it's not a hobby. It's not something that you just throw some money at and it's going to, miraculously double. It does not work that way. Does it happen? Absolutely. Does it happen more than not for some of us? Yes, if you know what you're doing.
Right.
Which is why we're here. We want you to understand that if you're going to flip contracts and it costs you $1,000 to make $6,000, cash on cash returns there are pretty high. Even if it takes you 2 months to do it. I mean, where do you get that level of a return from? So your only question at that point should be, how many times a month can I do this?
Right. And I don't know about you, but I was not born on the planet knowing this stuff.
No.
I mean, I didn't drop out here and then start buying and selling houses.
That's right.
So it was a process.
I thought there was a Benjamin Button thing kind of going on.
Oh, yeah, really?
Yeah.
I kind of feel that way. I have a little mantra in my head. I'm getting younger, but
that's right.
Sometimes, when I'm trying to walk, over to the next room, I'm wondering, where did that go?
Well, listen, we're going to take a break so we can get back to some other things to talk about.
Yeah.
Do you need to sell your house? Well, our company will buy your house. We make the process very fast, very easy, and it's all cash. All you have to do is give us a call today.
We'll Buy Your House. Click 833willbuy.com. That's 833-WELLBUY.com.
Or call 833-WILL-BUY.
Se habla español, llámanos, call us today.
Welcome back to Real Estate 360, and here we are, Steve Connolly and Jason O'Miles.
That is correct. Listen, I got to just tell a quick story, okay?
Please.
I promise it'll be quick, relatively speaking. But, we were talking on the break about, knowing what to do. Where do you find the information? A lot of people will listen to this, and they'll kind of disregard. Maybe they went to one of these events that came in town and they were like, I'm not spending all that money to learn how to do real estate. So they do, in their mind, what the next logical step is if they want to learn how to become a real estate investor, is they go to
what's that?
They go to realtors school. They take
right.
What is it, 2-week class or whatever, 3-week class?
Yeah.
And they spend the $400 to do that, and they go there. Now, when I started, I wanted to learn real estate, but I knew I wasn't going to get my license. I didn't need my license, but I wanted to know what they knew. I wanted to know why this wasn't working for me. So I took a class. There wasn't really a bunch of information there. I didn't really learn anything. I already knew all that stuff. A couple years later, I had a lot more experience now. So I figured, let me go back and check it out, because now I have more information. Maybe I missed something. So I went and I took the class again. And I sat there and I listened and I said, no, I'm not missing anything, but I interjected a little bit here and there. And I did that 3 times, every 2 years. I did it 3 times. I went the 3rd time, and now I really was in the know. I mean, I had, at that point, truly changed my life financially, the way the business was going. I was now on the road. I'm running around the country speaking and writing. And I knew a lot more the 3rd time around. So I went back in to this class, and I sat there and I listened to this instructor tell people what they couldn't do. Like some of the things that we'll talk about here, like they talked about not being able to have double closings.
Really?
Yeah. They talked about just contractually things that you could not do, right? They were telling them that they could not act as an investor if they were acting as an agent, as a realtor, excuse me. But that's totally not the case, because as we know, there are plenty of realtors that are also investors.
Well, don't they have to do one or the other?
Yeah, and it's just about, they can do them both, but they have to disclose it.
Right.
Right? So if they're going to go and utilize their MLS database to market for their own purposes, they're well within their right to do that, because they pay their monthly dues to do that. Mm-hmm. And if they're marketing to someone and they get someone that says, I'd love to sell my house, but they know I can make you a good offer. I can pay you what you're asking for the house. Well, I have to let you know that I'm a realtor, but I'd like to buy this house for my investment company. And the verbal disclosure and the written disclosure is all they legally need.
Right.
As long as they let the person know that they were an agent.
Everybody knows that realtors will buy, what's that called? A guaranteed offer?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
So
yeah, we've got a local agent that made a huge business
absolutely
on that.
Yeah.
I mean, he's done well for himself with this kind of tactic. But in that class, they weren't teaching you that. And yes, it's true. Better than 95% of realtors do not make any money because they do it as a hobby. They see the stuff on TV and they're like, yeah, I can do that. I know somebody who flips houses. Maybe I can be their realtor. But they have to understand that person they know that flips houses already has relationships, already has processes. Doesn't mean they're not going to help them out in some kind of way. But most of the people that are doing this, going to get their license, they're not making any money. It's a very small percentage. It's like, I think it's equal to what the real financial world looks like in terms of who has the money.
It is.
And
you've got that's a great point about the realtors. And I had a realtor contact me and said, "Hey, I want you to buy some houses from me." I said, "Great." Now this realtor was a realtor. She didn't really understand what an investor does.
Right.
So she started sending me stuff, listed MLS properties, that she thought was a great. She thought they were great deals,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm looking at it. I'm thinking, so what? And like, who cares?
Hey, it's $20,000 off a $250,000
Yeah,
house.
stuff like that,
And that's great for the guy that wants to live in it.
She's calling me saying, "Well, why aren't you buying these?" And I said, "Well, these aren't really what I'm looking for." And so she kept doing it for a while, and she finally just quit.
Right.
But she thought that I wasn't doing what I needed to do,
Yeah.
which was buy stuff from her. It's like, okay.
But she didn't know what a deal was.
She had no idea.
Right. And that happens a lot because, again, they're used to retail sales. That's
And
what they
do not teach you how to be a real estate investor in the real estate licensing course.
Oh, absolutely not. It would defeat the purpose.
Right.
I've had people that I was teaching, students, if you will, that take the information that I've given them and they've gone to ask realtors or brokers, this information. Maybe they were trying to get a job with them in every case that was that way. And they'd come back and say they told me this was illegal. I can't get a contract on a property and sell it to someone else without being a realtor.
Well,
well, it happens every day. We live in what is known as a free market society.
yeah.
I do not have to go to a realtor to buy or sell a property. I do not have to go to a dealership to buy or sell a car.
Right. Yeah.
I do have to go there to the grocery store if I want groceries, though,
Now,
unless I have a garden.
the government would want you to think you have to go through these
Channels,
realtors
yeah.
and channels, and so because that's the only way they can be assured of getting their cut.
Well, I disagree with that as well because no matter what, these contracts are going to be filed in the local municipalities.
That's true.
So,
Yeah.
from a taxation perspective, it's just them looking. These things are public record. And if you profited, the attorney who closed that deal will be sending you a 1099.
Absolutely, he sure will.
So, there are checks and balances in place for the government to make sure they get their piece.
Yeah,
But
you're right about that.
there is nothing here that is illegal whatsoever. I mean, the illegality comes in when you don't know what you're doing, and when you haven't had your contracts checked, and you go on Google and you just pick up a PSA, a purchase and sales agreement. Well, you don't know where that purchase and sales agreement was written. You're just buying this thing because you think it's good. It may have been written in Washington State, and you're using it in Fulton County, Georgia. The laws will be different. The contract that was written will not be. It's not formed for Georgia, so you're taking some chances. Steve takes the initiative every couple months and updates our contracts, not just because of legal parameters, that being the case as well, but because we're constantly reviewing the way we do business. So we want different language in there for different types of. We have different PSAs for what we buy than we do for what we sell. PSA is a purchase and sale agreement, right? Not a public service announcement.
Right. Yeah. Well, I'm going to get one example of that is the insurance clause where we're buying one. And so if we're buying a property, we have in our purchase contract where if the house burns down, then we have the option of taking the insurance proceeds and the property in lieu, without canceling the contract. That's our option.
That's right.
Now, we don't give that option when we're on our contracts when we're selling it.
Mm-hmm.
We're saying no. If we want to, we'll have the option to cancel the contract if it burns down because it's our insurance that's paying for it.
That's
we
right.
might want to keep that money. So
exactly. So, and that's a perfect example of what we're saying. Your contracts need to be tailored for the market in which you're working in, at least the state that you're working in. So, yes, you can get yourself a boilerplate template, but it is imperative that you spend the couple $100 it's going to take for an attorney to look at it, review it, and modify it for your specific need in your specific area. It's as simple as that. You really want to make sure you do that. So there aren't any illegalities. You just want to make sure that you're staying on top of things, And when you want to assign a contract, which is one of the things that you have in that contract, you need it to be written in the contract. It needs to be stated that this contract is or is not assignable.
Or you can leave it out.
Or you can leave it out, but
just leave out
it's
that
ambiguous.
language.
Yeah.
And then it's assignable.
That's right, because you don't know
if as long as it's
right.
not prohibited by the contract.
Right. And ours on our sell side is prohibited unless expressly written.
Absolutely.
So
and
that's
on our
we
buy
want to
side,
know.
It actually is expressly written that we can assign it.
That's correct.
We just want to put it in there saying, hey, we have the option to assign this.
That's exactly right.
Sure.
So assigning contracts is nothing more than going out, finding a good deal. You know, first, of course, learning how to evaluate the property, how to evaluate its value, and determining at that point, you know, what your strike price is, as one would say in the stock market. What is your offer going to be? What we call your MAO, or your maximum allowable offer. And you make that, you get it under contract, and your contract says, your contract is going to say that this is fully assignable. Or nothing. It's ambiguous, which means you can do it anyway because it doesn't say you can't.
Right.
Right? And then you go out and you find someone who wants to buy that. Now, back in the day, you could literally sell the contract. You didn't have to have the closing. You know, like you could give me a check for $2,500 and I just give you the contract and go away, and then you just focused on the closing.
You can still do that.
You can still do it, but no one does it because no one trusts anyone anymore.
No. Hey, I did that. I bought one and I said, man, I shouldn't have done it this way. You know, that was one of those plan, do, review moments. You know, it's like.
That's a good comeback right there. Yeah. I like that one. It's a good bring back. But, you know, those are things that you could do, you know, and we talked about having an attorney review your contract. So find a good closing attorney, a real estate attorney.
That's on our list, right?
It is on our list.
Yeah, find it on segment 3.
That's right.
Find a good attorney that understands what investors do, because not all of them out there do that.
And they sure don't. So, you know, make sure you find them. Talk to other investors, see who they're closing with, and then go and interview them. You know, I mean, that's what we do.
Yeah.
Before we go and close with an attorney on our own, because we're picking who's going to earn that money.
Right.
We want to make sure that and
they're not charging us too much, because
otherwise
I'll turn into a whiny little, you know,
we want to know
investor,
that
you know, like I did last time.
Well, listen, let's take a quick break and get back to it.
Okay.
All right.
We'll buy your house. Click 833willbuy.com. That's 833WELLBUY.com.
Or call 833-WILL-BUY.
Se habla español, llámanos, call us today.
All right, we are back. Thank you for sticking it out with us. That was a great break. I love those commercials.
Yeah, that was pretty good.
Yeah.
So we are going to recap what we've been talking about, you know.
Absolutely. But before we recap,
yes,
allow me to take yet another moment. What was that movie? Allow myself to introduce myself. But no, I want to make sure that you guys go to iTunes, leave us a review, you know, watch the podcast, subscribe, be notified when we have good stuff coming. This great content. You're going to want to hear it. Go to YouTube, Spotify. Leave us some comments. I can't stress it enough. We love it when we see that kind of stuff. We want to get back to people. We want to engage. We want to know what you like, what you don't like. So just take a moment to do that, okay? Now, back to the recap.
Yes.
We're done with that PSA.
So
that's a real PSA, by the way, not
a purchase and sale agreement.
Yeah.
Okay. So we were talking about success in your first 30 days.
Right.
And, you know, like you said, how do you define success? It can be, you know, just getting through a project, whether you make money or not. Maybe you've learned a lot. You know, by doing one, you will have learned how the process works.
Yeah.
And is it going to be exactly like that on the next one? No, not likely.
Yeah.
But you'll know what to do.
You will know what to do, and it's just a matter of actually doing it.
Yeah.
You know, inside 30 days, you know, you can begin the process of financially changing your life. You know, inside that 30 days, you will absolutely create different ways to think, different ways to see things. And that is truly the beginning of the transformation of your life. So you can't move into a new portion of your life, a new business, without changing your mind. You have to change the way you think. And that's all about what the first 30 days is. Yes, can you make money? Yes. Is it possible? Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right? But you have to put yourself there mentally. You have to believe that it's going to happen. You have to know that it's going to happen. It's more than a belief. I mean, I know in my DNA that this is my life and it's going to escalate, that we're going to make everything we do work.
One way or another.
By hook or by not crook. By hook or not by hook, by crook.
Not by crook.
I don't like the crook part. But,
No,
listen, by hook or by crook. But you just find ways, you make it happen. And you're going to have stumbling blocks. You're going to have roadblocks. And you have to be fluid in that, You can't stop water, baby. It's going to go up. It's going to go down. It's going to go around. But it's going to get through. So just be fluid.
Or if they just have a lot of money and they want to invest it in our multifamily syndications, then it will be fluid because then we're taking all of the hits.
Yeah.
And we're handling all the issues and the drama that comes up on a daily basis with these things.
That's correct. Operations.
Yes.
Renovations.
Thank you. I'm going to change my word from drama to operations.
That's right.
I like that.
That's right. It's the operations, man. And that's really with everything, not even just the multifamily. In any business, you're operating your business. So what you do is you focus on working on your business, not necessarily in your business. So when you're working, like you and I, we really just came to the realization that, what? There are bigger fish to fry out here, but we don't want to give up what we're doing. So we've brought people in to work in those aspects of our businesses because it makes us more money. It makes us more money because we have time to focus on the other things and adding value into that. So we're working more on our business than in our business as opposed to what we were doing a year ago.
I think it's the whole is greater than the sum of the parts.
That's correct.
Theory. And so we're bringing in certain resources that we have, and we're bringing those folks in to help us while they're helping themselves with our resources. And it makes a lot of sense.
That's right. It's bigger for them.
Yeah. They make more and we make more.
That's right. We just kind of sit back and have a meeting once or twice a week.
Yeah.
And make sure those resources are there. But, you got to get to that point, though. You have to get there. And even when you're there, it's all about managing and operating. But you have to learn these things on the way so that you can implement them. And you will. We know we need personal assistance, but we still like answering the phone.
Yeah.
So.
Well, stuff happens, when you answer the phone.
Exactly, because you don't know what that's going to be. Right. You never know. And we got a telephone call. Maybe earlier this week, I believe it was. Someone needed bridge capital.
Yeah.
There's a couple points right there that we can earn just by answering the phone.
Sure.
Deals come in from marketing that we did months ago that someone's just now ready to sell, and they kept the flyer or the letter, and they're calling and saying, hey, I got this letter, and you're like, okay, you mean the one I sent 4 months ago? If someone tells me they got a flyer, I haven't put out any flyers in at least a year and a half.
Wow.
So when I get a telephone call that someone's calling from a flyer that I put, I know that what we do works because I'm getting those telephone calls.
Exactly.
You never know when it's going to work, when it's going to materialize. You just know that it's going to materialize. That's what you have to know.
Right.
That's what
you have to know. And to review a little bit more, it's a really good idea to decide what it is you want to do and what does your life look like at the end of the day? You know? Does that mean you want to be a wholesaler where you write the contracts and sell off the contracts? You have to know the whole business to be a really effective wholesaler. You have to know from the beginning to the end and think of it from the point of view of who you're selling your product to.
Right.
So you want to be a wholesaler, that's a great place to start because then you can easily, now you've got a foundation of building blocks to stand on. If you want to go into fix and flip, or if you want to do the buy, fix, rent, and long-term holds, you can go from there to pretty much anywhere.
That's for sure.
Yeah.
And I think that, it's really easy to say, hey, listen, to be an effective wholesaler, you got to know everything because you will be effective, right? But, the person that's just starting out in order for for us to give them the pretty house and the ugly house techniques and all that is entailed inside of both of those strategies.
Right.
Because ultimately it breaks down to just those two. But the stuff inside those two, there's so much there. And it's going to take you some time to learn it, And that, again, is the benefit of working with a mentor, a coach, if you will, whatever the case. Working with someone that if you've got a deal or an opportunity, let's call it, because we don't know if it's a deal. And we definitely don't know what kind of deal it is.
Right.
If you're looking at something, if you put some marketing out there and something came back, you don't know enough to know if it's a good deal or not, or what kind of good deal it is. It could be a pretty house deal, it could be an ugly house deal, it could be a lease option, it could be all kind of different things, right?
One of our mentor students called me the other day and said, "Hey, I've got this land that is 5 acres over such and such." And she said, for $200,000 or something like that. And she said, "Is that a good deal?" And I said, "I don't know."
Yeah.
It depends, But, on the face of it, it sounds like it could be really good. But, you've got to do research.
And that, and even with the land, especially for new people, okay, What do you want to do with the land? Well, they don't know. And the answer is, well, I want to sell it. Okay, well, now you have to find the right kind of buyer, because it's not as easy to go get money on land as it is to get on a house. So, and it takes longer, generally speaking, unless you just so happen to know someone who has a parcel of land in one of the hottest areas of the city.
Right.
It won't sit there that long then, but more often than not, that's not the case.
This didn't qualify for that.
Yeah.
And I told her, I said, you got to, what are you going to do with it?
You got to pick your battles, too.
Yeah, exactly. You're going to divide, is somebody going to buy it and turn it into lots? So you got to find out what the zoning is. Can you do a quarter-acre lots, or do you have to do half-acre? And then what about the infrastructure? And what about, it has to be a cul-de-sac. That's okay. So now you got a couple $100,000 in development costs.
Yeah, and it's only 5 acres.
It's only 5 acres.
That's too much going on there.
It is too much. And I said, and then you've got to have a seller that's willing to wait for you to spend all this money before you buy it to see if it. Anyway, pick your battles.
Pick your battles. Just because you see something there with a sign that says for sale by owner doesn't mean that it's a good deal.
That's right.
Or what kind of deal it is. But the point I was making, you just illustrated.
Right.
She didn't know. So she picked up the phone and she called the person that could give her the information that she needed.
Right.
To determine where she was, what decision she was going to make. And that's exactly what people need to do. If you don't know, you don't know.
Yep.
And you have to ask the question. So you reach out to the people that you know to do that. And by doing that, you will start to develop these processes of your own. You know what I mean? You'll know, okay, this is what's going to go into this kind of a deal the next time I find something like that. So if I really think it's a great deal, I've got to do A, B, C, D, E, F, G.
This show has been about success in your first 30 days.
Yes.
And we actually have a seminar called
Success in Your First 30 Days.
Right. Overview. And so, because it's 2 hours, there's just no way we can get all of the information into 2 hours, but we're going to do an overview of success in your first 30 days. That is October the 19th. And guess what? It's from 10 to noon.
Yes.
And it's $5,000.
That's right. We do take bags of nickels. So bring them with you.
Right. Well, yeah, it's $20 as usual. It's $20 for our 2-hour seminar.
Yes.
We give you 100% guarantee, money back guarantee that if you're not 100% thrilled with the information that we give you,
right,
you get your $20 back.
Get your $20 back.
Yeah.
$20. But you have to buy lunch, so it's kind of a wash.
Go to realestate360show.com, realestate360show.com to find out where that is. You can find it on Eventbrite as well, Real Estate 360 on Eventbrite, and there it'll be.
So listen, Steve, I want to thank you for your time today.
Well, thank you for yours.
Well, yes, you're more than welcome, kind sir. I enjoy delivering this information to people with you. It is really, truly the highlight of my week. And I, again, want to make sure that everybody gets an opportunity to go to iTunes, Spotify, Google Play, YouTube, and make sure that you're subscribing and commenting. Engage with us. Thank you for your time. And listen, we want to thank you for watching, and make sure that you get back here next week, right here on the Real Estate 360 Show.